CEO Jonathan Harris, a self-made billionaire in his mid-50s, was meticulously reviewing applications for a nanny. His adopted son, Ethan, was nearing 6, and Jonathan wanted someone kind, patient, and responsible. The house in Manhattan's Upper East Side was immaculate, yet it felt empty, haunted by the absence of warmth. Amidst the polished resumes and professional interviews, one name caught his eye: Monica Lewis, a black woman in her early 30s. Her references spoke of extraordinary patience and love for children. When she walked into the glass-walled office, there was a quiet confidence in her eyes, a gentle presence Jonathan couldn't ignore. "Thank you for coming, Monica," Jonathan began, offering a professional smile. "Ethan is very special. He needs someone who can see him, truly see him, not just supervise him." Monica nodded, her heart tightening for reasons she couldn't explain. There was something in Jonathan's voice, something familiar, though she shook it off. As Ethan peeked shyly from behind a doorway, Jonathan gestured toward him. Monica's chest tightened. For a fleeting moment, the world seemed to tilt. She took a deep breath. "I'll take care of him, sir, I promise." Jonathan studied her carefully, unaware of the invisible bond already forming. Monica stepped into the sprawling Harris estate the next morning, her nerves mingling with determination. Ethan clutched a small stuffed lion, his wide eyes scanning her cautiously. The silence between them was heavy, yet not uncomfortable. Jonathan watched from the doorway, a hint of expectation in his gaze. "Hi, Ethan," Monica said softly, couching to meet his level. "I'm Monica. I'm here to play and take care of you." Ethan's lips quivered. I don't like new people," he whispered. Monica smiled gently, letting her warmth fill the room. "That's okay. We can take it slow." Hours passed, and slowly Ethan's walls began to crack. He giggled at her silly faces, allowed her to braid his hair, and even shared his little secrets about his favorite cartoons. Monica listened with a patience that felt almost instinctive, her heart stirring in ways she didn't understand. Jonathan observed silently, noting how Ethan's laughter echoed through the halls for the first time in months. Something in Monica's calm, unwavering presence seemed to awaken a joy he hadn't seen in years. Later, as Monica tidied the playroom, she paused, staring at a drawing Ethan had made. The figure looked strangely familiar, like a memory buried deep within her. She shook her head, whispering to herself, "It can't be, not yet." Days turned into weeks, and Monica settled into the rhythm of the Harris household. Ethan's laughter filled the halls, a sound Jonathan hadn't realized he'd missed so deeply. Yet there were moments that made Monica's heart ache, memories she tried desperately to suppress. One evening, while reading Ethan his bedtime story, she noticed the way he tilted his head when he mimicked her gestures. That tilt, the curl of his lips when he smiled, made her chest tighten. It was impossible, yet familiar. "Monica, do you think children can remember things they've never seen?" Ethan asked, his small fingers tracing patterns on the quilt. Monica paused, swallowing hard. "Some things, yes. Memories can hide in surprising places." Jonathan, standing silently at the doorway, observed them. He had always been proud of his son's adaptability, but there was something deeper unfolding here. Monica and Ethan shared glances that seemed to speak a language he couldn't yet decipher. Later, Monica returned to the nanny room, staring at a faded photograph tucked into her wallet. A baby wrapped in a soft blanket, eyes identical to Ethan's. Her hands trembled. She whispered to herself, "Could it Could it really be him? For the first time in years, she wondered if fate had finally brought her back to what she had lost. It was a crisp Saturday morning when Ethan, full of energy, darted across the marble foyer chasing his toy car. Monica followed close behind, laughter in her voice, until he tripped near the grand staircase. "Ethan!" she shouted, catching him just in time. But the brief scare left them both shaken. Jonathan, who had been in the study, rushed in at the sound of her panicked cry. Monica held Ethan tightly, tears streaming down her face. "You're okay. You're okay," she repeated, her voice trembling. Jonathan's eyes narrowed as he observed her expression, not just relief, but something deeper, a recognition he couldn't explain. Ethan, sensing the tension, looked up at Monica. "Why are you crying like that?" he asked softly. Monica froze. She wanted to tell him the truth, the secret she had guarded for so long, but the words caught in her throat. Jonathan stepped closer, his own emotions swirling. Then, Monica's locket, a small, worn piece she had never removed, slipped from her neck. Jonathan instinctively picked it up and opened it. Inside was a faded photograph of a baby with eyes strikingly similar to Ethan's. His hand shook. "Monica, where did you get this?" he asked, voice barely above a whisper. Monica's chest heaved as Jonathan held the locket, his eyes wide with a mixture of shock and disbelief. "Where did you get this, Monica?" he repeated, voice unsteady. She swallowed, knowing the moment she had feared and hoped for had arrived. It belonged to someone very dear to me. A child I lost years ago. I never thought I'd see him again." Jonathan's gaze shifted to Ethan, who looked between them with innocent curiosity. The resemblance was undeniable. The same soft curls, the same eyes that held so much trust and wonder. Jonathan's heart raced as realization struck, a truth he hadn't dared to consider until now. Monica kneeled, bringing herself to Ethan's level. "Ethan, do you remember the stories I told you about family?" she whispered. His eyes blinked, puzzled. I think I've been looking for you all this time," she continued, her hands trembling as she reached for him. Jonathan stepped back, the weight of what he was witnessing pressing down on him. The woman who had cared for his son, laughed with him, soothed him, was not just a nanny. She was the missing piece of a story he hadn't even known existed. Ethan, sensing something significant, nestled closer to Monica. "Mom?" he whispered, the word hanging between them like a fragile promise. Monica's hands trembled as she embraced Ethan, tears streaming freely. "Yes, my sweet boy, it's me," she whispered, her voice breaking with a mix of relief and overwhelming love. Ethan clung to her, sensing the bond that had always existed, even before words could explain it. Jonathan stood silently watching the reunion unfold. The woman he had trusted with his son, his heart, was more than a nanny. She was a mother, a missing piece of a family he hadn't realized he had the privilege to witness. He felt gratitude, awe, and a quiet sense of humility all at once. Ethan pulled back slightly, searching Monica's face with wide eyes. I missed you," he whispered. Monica kissed his forehead, her heart full. "I never stopped looking for you," she said softly. Jonathan stepped forward, placing a gentle hand on Monica's shoulder. "You've given him so much love, more than I could have imagined. And now, you've given him the greatest gift. Your presence, your heart." In that moment, the Harris estate, once filled with elegance but emptiness, became a home. Laughter and love echoed through the halls, healing old wounds and forging a new, unbreakable bond. For Monica, Jonathan, and Ethan, the past and present finally intertwined, creating a family that destiny had waited decades to reunite. Weeks later, the Harris estate was alive with laughter and warmth. Monica had officially become more than a nanny. She was Ethan's mother, and Jonathan's respect and admiration for her had grown into something deeper, founded on trust and shared love for his son. One sunny afternoon, the three of them sat in the garden, Ethan's small hands clutching both of theirs. "I never want to let go," he said, his voice full of honesty and joy. Monica squeezed his hand, tears of happiness spilling freely. "You don't have to, my love. You're home now. Always." Jonathan, watching them, felt a peace he hadn't known since adopting Ethan. He had brought Monica into his home for his son, unaware that fate had orchestrated something far greater. Seeing them together, he realized that family isn't just about blood. It's about love, presence, and the courage to reconnect. Later that evening, as the city lights twinkled outside their windows, Monica reflected on the journey that had brought her here. From loss to rediscovery, heartbreak to joy. She whispered a quiet prayer of gratitude, feeling Ethan's soft breath against her shoulder. In the Harris household, the past had finally met the present, healing old wounds. And for the first time in decades, Monica, Jonathan, and Ethan faced the future together, a family, complete, bound by love, destiny, and an unbreakable bond. Monica's days at the Harris estate became a careful dance between nurturing and observation. Ethan began confiding in her in ways he hadn't with anyone else. From bedtime fears to imaginary adventures, she listened, offered comfort, and quietly marveled at how much he reminded her of someone she once knew, someone she had lost. One rainy afternoon, Ethan clung to her as they sat by the grand window, watching droplets race down the glass. "Monica, do you think families are only about blood?" he asked softly. Monica's heart clenched. She swallowed, steadying her voice. "Family is about love, Ethan. People who care for you, who protect you. That's family too." Jonathan, entering the room, felt a strange pang of unease. He watched Monica gently wipe away Ethan's tears, the tenderness in her eyes so raw it startled him. For reasons he couldn't yet understand, something about the scene stirred memories he didn't know he had. That night, as Monica prepared for bed, she found herself lingering over Ethan's drawing on the fridge, a small figure holding another's hand. She recognized the gesture, the way the hands met. Her chest ached, tears welling up. "It can't be," she whispered. Yet deep down, a whisper of hope dared to take root. Jonathan couldn't shake the feeling that something in Monica was familiar. Watching her with Ethan, seeing how naturally she cared for him stirred memories he didn't understand. At dinner, he tried to ignore the tug at his chest, but curiosity finally got the better of him. "Monica," he began carefully, "how long have you been working with children?" "Over 10 years, sir. I've always felt at home with them." Her voice had a warmth that made Jonathan uneasy, as if it carried hidden meaning. Ethan giggled from across the table. "Monica knows all my secrets," he said proudly. Jonathan exchanged a glance with his assistant, who shrugged. But inside, he felt a strange, unexplainable pull. Something about Monica and Ethan together felt like a missing piece of a puzzle he didn't even know existed. Later that night, Monica sat alone in the nanny quarters, her thoughts restless. Memories of a small boy, her boy who had been taken from her years ago, flooded her mind. The resemblance to Ethan was uncanny, down to the way he laughed. "I can't be dreaming this, can I?" she whispered, clutching a worn locket around her neck. Fate had a way of testing hearts, and hers was being tested beyond endurance. The following morning, Ethan woke unusually restless. Monica found him sitting by the window, staring up the city skyline, fingers intertwined. "Monica, do you think people can lose each other forever?" he asked softly. Monica's heart hammered. The words, innocent as they were, struck like thunderclap. "Sometimes, yes," she said carefully, hiding the quiver in her voice. but sometimes fate has a way of bringing people back. Jonathan, passing by, caught a fragment of their conversation. His chest tightened. Something about Monica's expression, tender, wistful, almost haunted, made him wonder what he wasn't seeing. Later, as Monica organized Ethan's drawings, she noticed one she hadn't seen before. A small figure holding a baby, drawn with careful, almost aching detail. The baby's features, soft curls, tiny hands, were unmistakably familiar. Her breath caught. She touched the drawing, whispering to herself, "It's you. It's really you." Tears blurred her vision, but she forced herself to stay calm. She had to wait for the right moment, for the right way to reveal the truth. Meanwhile, Jonathan lingered at the doorway, sensing an invisible bond forming between Monica and Ethan, a connection so deep it left him unsettled. He couldn't yet place it, but he knew the story in this house was far from over.